Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we crack open complex tech topics and really try to extract the essential insights you need.
Yeah, get right to the core of it.
Exactly. So today, we're diving into something that's, well, it's a passion project for a lot of us, right? Taking back control of our digital memories.
Mm-hmm.
Photos, videos, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. The ever-growing pile.
Totally. And self-hosting feels great, gives you that privacy, that control. But making these powerful open source tools play nice together sometimes feels like, I don't know, chasing a jackpot or something.
It really can. It's a common challenge. You see these amazing components, Immich, Proxmox, your NAS. Each one's brilliant.
Yeah.
But getting them to mesh seamlessly,
Yeah.
especially when you're trying to be efficient on your home lab, that's where the real puzzle is.
Yeah.
And the satisfaction when you get it right.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's lay out the main players for this deep dive. First up, Immich.
Right.
This thing's kind of exploded, hasn't it? The open source Google Photos alternative.
It really has. Slick interface, mobile apps work well, performance is good.
And the big thing, keeping your data private.
Yeah.
Giving you tools to organize, back up, search your own media. It's like a huge step towards actually owning your stuff.
Definitely. And then running Immich or really lots of home lab services, you've often got Proxmox.
Your hypervisor, yeah, the base layer.
Right. The environment where you run your VMs and, crucially for us today, Linux containers, LXCs.
LXCs. Super lightweight.
Incredibly lightweight. They share the host's kernel, unlike a full VM, so they use way fewer resources.
Which is a huge win if you're trying to max out your server.
Massive win, yeah. Squeeze every bit of performance out.
And then piece number 3, the NAS network attached storage.
The backbone for so many home labs.
Truly, central storage, easy to access, secure, usually got redundancy, which you absolutely need for photos and videos.
Non-negotiable for memories, absolutely. And pointing Immich's library there keeps your Proxmox host focused, nimble.
Okay, so here's where the adventure and maybe the headache starts, bringing these 3 together. Immich, running in an LXC, storing media on the NAS. What's the first big hurdle people usually hit? Where do they stumble right out of the gate?
Good question. I think from what you see online, it's getting Immich's storage needs hooked up to the NS, especially in an unprivileged LXC. That seems to be the big one.
Right, because suddenly you're wrestling with permissions.
Exactly. Permissions, then network share stuff like NFS or SMB, and Immich uses Docker.
So layers of complexity.
Yeah, they just stack up. It's those permissions and the network share details that often create that first wall.
Okay, so that's our mission today then, this deep dive. We're going to try and distill all that collective wisdom, from forums, from experts, and figure out the breakthrough, how to get this seamless integration, make the setup work for you.
Yeah, make it a triumphant reality, as you said.
Because the communities, they've been hammering away at this. There's a treasure trove of solutions out there. We just need to unlock it.
Let's do it.
So what's the breakthrough concept, the fundamental idea that makes this whole integration actually click?
Okay, the key, and this is like a really important architectural thing to grasp. It's all about how you set up that NAS mount and connect it to Immich inside the LXC.
Right.
The consensus, pretty much everywhere you look, is mount the NAS share on the Proxmox first.
On the host itself, okay.
Yes, and then expose that mount point into the LXC container using bind mounts.
Okay, so it's not just some clever trick, it's a design principle. Let the host handle the network stuff.
Exactly. The host is built for robust network operations. Let it manage the connection.
And the LXC just sees it like local storage.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It gets presented with that local path. This decouples the network complexity from the application container. Makes things way more stable, easier to troubleshoot.
That makes sense. Avoids trying to get the LXC, especially an unprivileged one, to mount network shares directly.
Which, yeah, as loads of people have found out, often leads straight to permission headaches and flaky setups.
Okay, task 1 then. Get that NAS share properly mounted on the Proxmox host. What's the usual way? NFS.
NFS, network file system, yeah, that's often preferred. It's generally simpler for this.
How do you do it? Desktop?
Yep, exactly. You add an entry to SSTab on the Proxmox host, something like 192.168.xx.mnt pool dataset, then mtmcnuts NFS, and then your options like auto, no fail, no time, no lock, in TCP, Actimea 1-800-000.
Okay, standard soft stab line. Just got to swap in the right IP and path.
Right. Your NAS IP, your actual share path, and
Yep.
always test it after. Run mount array, and make sure it mounts without errors.
Good tip. Okay, that's NFS. What about SMB? If someone's maybe coming from Windows or their NAS just works better with SMB, any traps there?
It's a similar process for SMB or CIFS, but yeah, the main difference is credentials.
Username and password.
Exactly. So your subline would look more like 192.168.1.80 millimeter untiners. CIFS, username, your password to password. Or better, user credentials file for security.
Right.
But yeah, SMB can be trickier with unprivileged containers compared to NFS. People sometimes get tripped up on the protocol version, like needing a verse option or just general permission mapping.
So if you can use NFS, it's probably smoother sailing for this specific setup.
Generally, yeah. I'd say if you have the choice, NFS often leads to fewer permission puzzles down the road with LXCs.
Okay, NAS share is mounted happily on the Proxmox host. Step 2, connect it to the LXC. This is the bind mount magic, right?
Exactly. Now you map that directory on the host into a directory inside the LXC.
How's that done? LXC config file?
Yep. You edit the container's config file. Usually it's etcp lxccontainerrid.conf.
Okay.
And you add a line, something like mp0.mtankimage mp-intimage.
So that's mapping the host path mtankimage to ntimage inside the container.
Precisely. Just got to make sure those paths match your actual setup, of course.
And this leads us to probably the trickiest bit for many permissions, especially with unprivileged containers.
Oh, yes. The permissions dance.
What's the most common mistake people make with those ID mappings? And, how do they fix it when things inevitably don't work?
Okay, this is critical. Super critical hurdle. With unprivileged containers, the owner of that directory on the host needs to match the Immich user's UID and GID inside the container.
Which is often what for Docker stuff, like 9999.
Often 999.996, yeah. But here's the common mistake. People forget Proxmox remaps those IDs for security in unprivileged containers.
Yeah.
It adds 100,000.
Ah, okay. So you can't just chown 999 on the host.
No. You need to run the chown command on the host, but use the mapped IDs. So it would be like chown-r 1000999.100996 nupian hantex.
So 100,000 plus the container's internal ID.
Exactly. Think of it as an offset. Proxmox applies so the container's user doesn't clash with host users, but can still own files.
And if you get it wrong, Immich just can't write files.
Pretty much. You'll likely see permission denied errors in the Immich logs or uploads just fail. The fix is almost always going back to the host and triple checking that chown command with the mapped IDs.
Okay, makes sense. And once you think you've got that chown right, how do you actually check inside the LXC? Quick test.
Yeah, good idea to verify. Shell into the LXC. Try to create a directory and a mount point, like Immich here and Immich upload.
Okay.
Then, crucially, try to set the ownership to the Immich user inside the container. Chown Immich.Immich image upload. Assuming Immich is the user, Immich runs as in the container.
And if both those commands work, no errors.
You're probably golden.
Yeah.
It confirms Immich should have the right access it needs.
Right. Storage backbone feels solid now. Next up, getting Immich itself installed and running in that LXC.
Installation time.
It's usually Docker-based, right?
Sure.
Which I know some folks get a bit nervous about running Docker inside an LXC.
Yeah, there's definitely some debate or perceived complexity there, but there are ways to make it much easier.
Like those helper scripts.
Absolutely. For Proxmox users, the TTEC helper scripts are fantastic. They automate setting up Docker in an LXC. Takes a lot of the pain away.
Okay, so you use a script to get Docker running reliably in the LXC.
Then you just follow the official Immich Docker Compose guide to get Immich itself installed.
And the key configuration bit for our setup?
The .nnv file for Immich. Usually it's in Optimish or wherever you put your Compose file. You must edit that file.
To tell Immich where the photos actually live.
Exactly. Find the line Immich media location and set it to the path inside the container where you mounted the NAS share. So Immich media location and Immich upload based on our earlier example.
Got it. Point Immich to the bind mount path.
Precisely.
Okay, let's circle back to those permissions again. Deeper dive. Unprivileged LXCs.
More secure, but trickier.
The eternal trade-off.
What are some of the maybe workarounds people use, or the more secure ways to handle it? What should people really think about here?
Well, for just making it work, some people find a shortcut on their NAS settings, like on a Synology, changing the NFS share squash setting to map all users to admin.
Ah, okay.
Here.
Does that just bypass the UID mapping issues?
It kind of does, yeah. It simplifies permissions drastically.
But security but. Yeah, potentially. You're effectively giving anyone accessing that share admin rights on the NAS for that share. So it's easier but less secure.
Okay.
Definitely a trade-off to consider carefully.
Okay, so what's the more robust, secure way then?
You can explicitly define the UID and GID mapping in the LXC's config file itself, adding lines like lxc.idmap.u0 and lxc.idmap g0 100,000 to that at setcpvelxdies.conf file.
And what does that do?
It tells Proxmox how to map the entire range of UIDs and GIDs from inside the container to the host, starting at that 100,000 offset. This ensures everything maps correctly and consistently, maintaining that security boundary of the unprivileged container. It's the cleaner, more secure approach.
Sounds like the recommended way, even if it takes a bit more setup.
Definitely the recommended way for maintaining security, yeah.
And privileged containers. If someone just throws their hands up.
Yeah. Some people do resort to privileged containers because, honestly, it often makes permissions just work. But the strong advice from the community, and generally best practice, is stick with unprivileged if you can. Fix the permissions properly.
Why? What's the risk?
A compromised privileged container has much easier access to the underlying Proxmox host. It breaks down that security isolation layer. So really, it should be a last resort.
Okay, good warning. Final big area, performance optimization, making Immich really fly.
Yes, this is crucial for a good experience.
What's the absolute #1 thing here, the non-negotiable?
The database, the Postgres database files. They must ideally be on local storage, preferably an SSD. Never, ever, ever put the database files on a network share like your NAS.
Whoa! Okay, why so critical?
Databases need super low latency for reads and writes. Think about image indexing, searching metadata for thousands of photos.
Right, constant lookups.
Exactly. If every single one of those little operations has to go across the network to your NAS and back, your image interface will feel incredibly sluggish. It's a performance killer.
So keep the database, like in Varlib PostgreSQL, inside the LXC's own local storage.
Yes. On the LXC's root disk, which should ideally be on fast storage on the Proxmox host.
And reserve the NAS only for the actual photo and video files.
Precisely. Media files on the NAS, database on fast local storage. That separation is key for responsiveness.
Makes total sense. What about other performance boosts, like GPU transcoding?
Yeah, if you want Immich to handle transcoding videos efficiently, especially for different devices, using a GPU helps a lot.
But that needs extra setup.
It does. You need to configure GPU pass-through from the Proxmox host to the LXC. If you have an Intel CPU with QuickSync, for instance, you'd pass through a device like DevDrender D128.
Okay, so possible, but needs specific steps.
Yep, there are guides out there for setting up GPU pass-through in Proxmox for LXCs. Worth looking into if you have compatible hardware and need that transcoding power.
Okay, we've covered the core setup. But the community, they always find these clever little tricks and workarounds. Any good ones worth sharing?
Oh, absolutely. The community wisdom is gold. For instance, backups. Some people prefer not to mount the NAS directly for image storage, but instead bind the image local storage folder to the Proxmox node, and then use rsync from the Proxmox host to push those files to an SMB share on the NAS periodically.
Ah, so it's like a backup or sync method rather than direct storage.
Exactly. It gives you maybe an extra layer of flexibility or fits certain backup strategies better.
Interesting. What about ZFS users? Lots of Proxmox folks love ZFS.
Yeah. If you're using ZFS on your Proxmox host, you could actually create your NAS dataset or pool directly on the host.
Instead of a separate NAS device.
Or in addition to, but yeah. And then you just mount that ZFS dataset directly into the LXC using the config file method we talked about.
And the benefit there, ZFS features.
Snapshots. You get the power of ZFS snapshots for your image data, which is fantastic for data protection, easy rollbacks, things like that.
Nice. Okay, what if you have tons of photos already sitting on your NAS, maybe disorganized, and you want Immich to manage them without moving them?
Good scenario. Immich has external libraries for this.
How does that work?
You log into Immich as an admin, go to settings, and you can add that NAS mount point, the one inside the LXC like in Immich, as an external library.
Okay.
Then you assign it to a user, tell Immich to scan it, and it'll index all those photos right where they are. No copying needed.
Oh, that's brilliant for existing collections. Saves duplicating everything.
Exactly. It's a great feature. And just circling back quickly on LXC versus VM.
Yeah.
While some people start with VMs thinking Docker is easier there, the community vibe is definitely that LXCs are lighter and work great if you get the config right, like we've been discussing.
Right. Tackle the config hurdles, get the efficiency win.
Precisely.
All right, let's talk about that extra 10%, the expert edge, those little details that really polish the setup.
Okay, some pro tips. First, about the official docs. You might see Immich documentation, sometimes suggesting VMs over LXCs for Docker.
What's that?
It often mentions potential issues with, like, nested virtualization or complexities. It's not wrong. A VM can be simpler for general Docker use sometimes. But again, advanced users can make LXCs work beautifully, get that lower overhead, the careful setup. Just be aware of why the docs might say that.
Good context. What else? Proxmox version.
Definitely keep your Proxmox host updated, latest stable version.
Yeah.
As of, say, early 2025, something like 8.3.3 or newer versions often have improvements for LXCs, device pass-through, kernel stuff.
Makes sense. Stay current. What about the OS inside the LXC? Does it matter much?
It can help to use something well-tested. Ubuntu 24.04 LTS is a solid choice for the LXC. It's widely used in the community for Immich. Dependencies usually work without fuss.
Okay, Ubuntu LTS. Good default. Any NAS side tips?
Yeah, if your NAS supports it, like Synology or TrueNAS, consider enabling NFS v4.
Version 4 specifically.
Yeah, it can sometimes offer better performance or compatibility compared to NFS v3. Might even simplify some mount options. Worth checking on your NAS.
Got it. And logs. Anything to watch out for?
Oh yeah, Immich logs, they can grow pretty big over time, especially if you leave debugging on.
Eating up space in the LXC.
Exactly, so monitor them. Once you've got everything stable and running smoothly, maybe set the log level in Immich to error, or even fatal, to keep them quieter and smaller.
Smart. Prevent storage creep.
Yeah.
And one last thing maybe on data management?
Yes. Database backups. We talked about media backups, but backup of the Immich database itself too. Locally on the Proxmox host or somewhere safe, it's just as critical as your photos.
Right, the metadata, albums, user info.
All that lives in the database.
Yeah.
And if you are importing a huge, messy library from your NAS, check out tools like Immich Go.
Immich Go, what's that?
It's a command line tool that can help pre-process and import libraries into Immich. It's great for handling duplicates, organizing things before Immich ingests them. Can make that initial big import much smoother.
Wow, okay. Lots of great refinements there. So, quite a journey we've taken. From understanding that key ID amount on the host first through the permission maze, optimizing performance, setting up Immich and a Proxmox LXC with NAS storage, it really is a rewarding project when it clicks.
It absolutely is. All that collective wisdom, these insights, they really do unlock a setup that's super efficient and, deeply satisfying to run.
Yeah, by getting that NAS share on the host, doing the bind mount smartly, nailing those permissions.
Carefully handling those.
Right, you get that seamless integration. It really empowers your home lab.
Right, you get that seamless integration. It really empowers your home lab.
And the end result. A self-hosted photo and video setup that's fast, secure, and it's all yours. Total control.
So here's a thought to leave you with. Now that you've got this powerful setup, maybe planned or even running, what new possibilities does having this perfectly organized private media library unlock? Maybe for your creativity or sharing with family?
Yeah, and think bigger, too. As you reclaim ownership of your digital memories like this, what other parts of your digital life could benefit from this kind of self-hosted control and customization? Lots to think about.